Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Maggie and I'm the gallery manager at Alpha Art Gallery. Thank you all for being able to attend the reception tonight. So if you couldn't make it or have to leave earlier later on, we just want to let you know we are also having an in-person reception this Friday, September 16th, starting from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Alpha Art Gallery. So feel free to stop by if you are interested in seeing the artwork itself or to speak with Iliyan. Okay, let's go ahead and started our reception. So once again, welcome to The Way Things Come About 2022 Iliyan Ivanov solo exhibition virtual reception opening. We are very pleased and honored to have our artist Iliyan Ivanov with us today, and we hope you all will enjoy the event tonight.
Alfa Art Gallery is a non-profit organization located at 108 Church Street in the heart of New Brunswick. The gallery is sponsored by the New Brunswick City Market through grants given by organizations such as Amboy Bank, Middlesex County Cultural and Heritage Commission, and Magyar Bank. Alfa Art Gallery believes that visual art is the ultimate form of communication and aims to provide professional criticism and guidance to exhibiting artists. Alfa Art Gallery aims to create a cultural hub for fine painters, sculptors, actors, and writers from New Jersey and beyond. Iliyan Ivanov began his artistic career under the tutelage of internationally recognized Bulgarian painter George Yanakiev. Mr. Ivanov came to the U.S. in 1994, and in 1996 he presented the one-person show Tides of Time at Ryden Galleries in Anderson, Indiana. Embracing both figurative and abstract imagery in an amalgam of painting, drawing, and collage, the works from this period reflected the artist's immigration experience and his impressions of the New World. After moving to New York in 1997, Ivanov has participated in a number of group and juried shows, primarily at galleries within New York City. He presented works from his interactive multi-panel project entitled The Revolving Doors as part of the Times Square Plan for Peace project at the Consuls General of the Republic of Bulgaria and the Chashma and Curb galleries in New York. These permanent installations have been created on compact discs, presenting an unusual opportunity for viewers to assemble their own compositions from the components the artist has provided. In such a way, each viewer's participation becomes an integral part in unfolding the diversity of emotional interplay between the individual pieces. Regardless of medium and scale, Ivanov develops his ideas through thematically related series meant to challenge the observer's own creativity. He continued his artistic education at the National Academy of Design School of Fine Arts, and over the past several years, his work has been selected for presentations at the New York Collection at the Albright Knox Gallery in Buffalo, the Dumbo International Art Festival, Miami Art Basel, the Toronto Art Salon, the New York Emerging Artist Gala, and the Red Dot Art Fair. The 2015 Distinguished Fellow Award of the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, and has been selected the Best Doctors and Top Doctors databases since 2011. In addition to his artistic productions and work as a psychiatrist, Ivanov is the co-founder of the Curb Arts Group, a non-profit organization that promotes aesthetic dialogue among international artists through alternative space exhibitions and performances in New York City. Ivanov employs rough brushstrokes and overlapping layers of opaque paint to create chaotic compositions and invite intimate observation. In previous works, Ivanov played with how spatial relationships between objects can change how viewers interpret a painting. Across this series, Ivanov heightens this effect with the use of texture and color. Ivanov juxtaposes opposite graphic characteristics to replicate how traumatic events can affect a person's emotional states. Alfa Art Gallery invites you to explore narratives of despair, acceptance, and joy through artist Iliyan Ivanov's solo exhibition, The Way Things Come About. In this exhibition, Ivanov uses expressive, carefully constructed compositions to explore difficult themes of mental health and trauma recovery. Through a series of 6 panels, Ivanov endeavors to illustrate the visual diaries of 3 children, aged 9, 12, and 16, that he treated during his work as a child psychiatrist. Ivanov experiments with texture and color to approximate the feelings that the 3 patients expressed during their treatment. The resulting works are a mixture of figurative and abstract art that attempts to give insight into the lives of Ivanov's patients. For this exhibition, Ivanov draws inspiration from the works of noted painters Joseph Stefanelli and Julian Schnabel, among others. As an artist, physician, and musician, scientist, Ivanov often looks to scientific, musical, and philosophical concepts to inspire his work. This diversity of inspiration is mirrored in a wide variety of materials he uses. High movement gestural brushstrokes cut through static images, gray backgrounds threaten to swallow swirls of saturated pigments, and thick layers of paint are peeled away to reveal the unprimed canvas underneath. Each composition captures both the intense turmoil and joy his patients experience in their day-to-day lives. We invite you to walk through Ivanov's collection and experience the stories captured within his abstract works for yourself.
Okay, right now we're just gonna go ahead and play a few highlights of Iliyan's interview. And just to let you know, this interview, the complete version of the interview will be posted on our website as well after the reception. So if you guys are like interested in watching the whole clip, feel free to go on to our website, or we will also post it on our YouTube channel. So feel free to go ahead and check on it.
The latest trend in my work.
What artists have influenced your work? And are there any specific artists currently at the gallery that influenced you in any single way?
I think over time, different people, movements rather. I remember reading about the Cobra movement, which is the European equivalence of the New York Abstract School from the late 40s and the 50s. So the New York Abstract Cobra, which stands for Copenhagen, Brussels, Amsterdam, as well as the Vitural movement, which is the Japanese abstract art. But 2 recent shows, recent meaning just kind of before the pandemic, have had quite a bit of impact. One of the shows was at the Denisburg in Chelsea, artist called Joseph Stefanelli, who is not necessarily well known, but he was within the group of the New York abstract artists, and his art is kind of unique in a way of combining his background in geometric abstraction and figurative, and really very unique way of treating color and contrast, and very free way of combining shapes and light and movement. That was a show that was on view in 2019 in the fall. And I really felt a lot of connection to the work. Kind of one of those moments when you feel like, oh my God, I really want to do something similar to that. So that show had a lot of influence on me, although I never knew anything about art before that. And not that long after that, the piece presented Julian Schnabel's latest work, which was in terms of size and scope and kind of the way he uses colors as well, had something similar impact. Especially one aspect of it, he was using canvases that were left out in Mexico. These are canvases that people use in open markets to like create some shade. And when they were left for about months and years, maybe, the elements kind of prepared the canvas in a very unusual way. So he took these canvases that had this natural color in them and texture and painted over and created this amazing work. So I was compelled to actually figure out a way to prepare my canvas in a way that has this very organic and textural element in it. Came up with certain ideas, and a lot of the latest work is using this unprimed canvas that I work with before I start painting, and it creates the textures and the shapes.
How do scientific concepts inspire your paintings?
They're kind of borrowing ideas from what the basic premises in sciences, which is going for the unknown, asking the question for what is out there that we would like to know, discover, and things like it. Art is not that dissimilar in a way, meaning people do go into novel ideas and try to explore different methods apparently. One thing that has continuously interested me is this idea as to how individual parts come together to create the next level of complexity, movement, or, dance systems. And I have created a series of works when an individual piece holds its own ground, but then it comes together as a series to create like a larger composition. And some of it actually has been over 10 years ago. We presented this at Dumbo in kind of an interactive manner. So one idea that came out of it is to make the audience, the viewer, more of an active participant of creating their own artistic product.
So your paintings use a great deal of texture in your brushwork. Can you expand upon your particular painting style?
So I'm not a big fan of like the smooth, the glossy, the finished paintings. That's really not my thing. I have used different kind of bases, canvas, paper, acrylic, like window blanks, which gives the opportunity to create more fluidity in the painting or kind of give it different surface, different structure. I have this kind of impulse to touch paintings, to kind of have this feeling of roughness, if you will, or rawness. And as I was mentioning, the show that came from the Pace galleries, it came this idea of like preparing the unprimed canvas in a way that it creates a lot of shapes, a lot of texture in it. So the interaction between the way I work with the canvas before I start the painting and the way I kind of apply the paint on it, it has this final sense of rawness, if you will, which can translate maybe to more kind of more honesty, more sincere way of expressing whatever you want to express.
And when you see the paintings in person, you can see the texture on it as compared to seeing it online or over the internet. You could really see like all of the unique and intricate brushwork that goes into it.
Right. I think we're in a very interesting time, as I hear from a lot of dealers and artists. Internet has opened kind of more democratically opportunities for artists of all levels, beginners, mid-career, established, less established, whatever it may be, and has given people access to a wide audience, which absolutely great. However, on the other hand, as I mentioned, this kind of a intimate connection with the painting that I think I want to have, and probably many people who value paintings as an art form. I don't think that there is a barrier there that is impossible in my view to kind of overcome. I would never buy a painting from the internet unless I touch the piece that I really don't have the same connection with.
And you're
Okay, so that was a little bit of highlight of Iliyan's interview. Once again, this video will be posted on our website, also on our YouTube. Feel free to go ahead and check it. So right now, we would like to invite Iliyan to speak a few more about his artwork, his thoughts, inspiration, methods, and technique when he was creating this collection. And if anyone have any question, thoughts, or comment for Iliyan, this would be the right time. Okay, let's start with the artwork right here.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Iliyan.
Let me start with thanking everyone who joined tonight. It's actually my first virtual reception, so I'm as prepared as you are. What I want to say about the show, just a couple of sentences before we start, maybe. But the way the show came about is that we selected work from the last couple of years that was complemented by work that was created sometime back. I'm referring to the piece right here. It's a pair of works on paper that they're related to a book called Mortality by Christopher Hitchens, if people know who he was. It's kind of a very famous debater and a writer for Vogue for many years, who tragically passed young from esophageal cancer, which is hereditary. He chronologed his last year of life and published after he passed this book that's called Mortality. And he was describing his own kind of thoughts on life and all this kind of different things that come to one's mind when they know what might be coming or don't know what might be coming. So this is probably the earliest work that's included in the show. And the interesting part about it is this interplay between, the dark spots are kind of a, for me, unusual technique of pretty much dropping the dark pigment into this watery surrounding of very light paint. And to me, that was kind of signifying how a disease may grow and overcome and take over once. So it sounds a little dark, but I think it still created kind of paintings that were very expressive. It's a combination of, maybe despair, but also hope in some way. The book actually finishes kind of very generously thanking the people who are helping him in his last days of life, people who are taking care of him. I know that may sound a little kind of gloomy as the start of an exhibition, but I think true art actually combines the extremes, the negative, the dark, the heavy, and the hope that comes with it. And I think abstract art has this unique ability to combine those things, because to me, abstract art is giving the audience some tools to create their own story. That I slowly evolved to the idea of like being an abstract painter, being like abstract painter. There are different versions of abstract, as many of you know. Abstract that is kind of as free as it could be is something that I'm interested in. And okay, I don't know, maybe some interruption. So these are the earliest paintings, and maybe as we move on, the rest of the show is work that has been created in the last 3 years. I kind of pointed the interview. 2019 is when I've done this latest series of abstract work on smaller scale. And then the 2 exhibits that I mentioned that had a very significant influence on me in terms of colors and scale and the way you can approach painting in general, certainly push forward through the years of the pandemic. So the larger canvases that are in the show are kind of processing your own thoughts and reflecting on your own emotions when we're going through all this. So, but maybe we can move to another painting, and I can tell you a little bit about it. So this is one of the latest ones. This is called The Trying Year, Seasons Change. And this is probably the last of the Trying Year series, clearly, referring to the pandemic, which was more than a year. And that was created like in the late February, early March of 2022 actually. And it, in my view, that signified finally coming out of this couple of years of really kind of very difficult times. Yes, maybe
You want to do it? I just want to like make a comment. I don't know. I feel like you said this artworks was created during the pandemic. I remember back then that was like about spring, right? So I feel like there's a bit of color for spring, and also I can see a little bit connection with the pandemic situation that's like combined in this artwork, which is very interesting. Yeah.
I'm kind of giving out my own thoughts in the title, but I think that for me personally, that was the time when I felt things might be turning around for the better. And actually, some of the other paintings that are in the show are kind of more within the depths of what was going on personally, what was going on around. So yeah, this painting is probably more kind of the final chapter of this 200-something year period, when there was a feeling in me that, okay, I'm finally getting out of this kind of
Situation.
difficulty. Yeah.
Sure. Let's move on to the next one then.
So there's actually work that precedes the pandemic. The reason that might be important is it's called Cherry Orchard. And yes, for those of you who may have guessed, it does have something to do with the famous play by Chekhov, Cherry Orchard, which I actually saw in 2019. And it was an interesting version of, it was a Russian theater group that presented in BAM. And it's not a commentary on the play itself. It's more related to one of the main ideas in the play, which is change, as inevitable as it is always this mixture of excitement and the new possibilities and the new things coming, and a lot of anxiety of like abolishing things that we know and changing things in a way that they'll never be the same. And that's kind of the essence of the conflict in the play, I think. So in a way, without knowing, of course, but now in hindsight, in a way that was kind of signifying this anticipation of a change that might be coming. And the change, sure enough, came about a year later. So it's a little bit of a reflection on that. But the interesting part for me was that I for a while thought that the painting is finished without you see this kind of a, grayish, they're not even well-defined objects outlined with some red paint. In my first version of the painting, this thing did not exist. And I was somewhat kind of perplexed that it felt like something's missing. I had no idea what it is. And it was a very impulsive thing to do one evening, to just add those things. Somehow that finished the painting. I think these are the symbols of the unknown that's coming, kind of obliterating the clarity of the image.
Okay, then we have the next one.
This is also work that actually preceded the pandemic by a couple of years. It's the last of a series of what's called seasons. And the seasons usually was signified by trees in different stage of a winter tree and whatever it might be. This is called the Wildfire season. And it has more to do with all things in the news that you hear about wildfires, that they seem to be going all the time. It's to California, Australia, I don't know. In my mind, it had to do more with kind of when the fire, if you want to have a positive spin on it, when the fire strips down the surface and kind of strips an object to its core, to its kind of whatever is there to stay. and to kind of persevere. So that was the idea of that painting. And the other paintings of the series are more figurative, although I think the trees kind of seem to dissolve in the painting. This one turned out to be kind of as abstract as it is. And by the way, in the show, it's presented vertical. One of the benefits of that particular painting is you can see it both ways. You can see it as a vertical piece, you can see it as a horizontal piece. I think both ways it kind of signifies something. It has the sense of,
yeah, it has its own explanation, or like the way you see it if you're looking from horizontal or both vertical one.
Yeah. So for those of you who might come to the show, we can see the vertical version of it.
Yeah, it was actually pretty amazing to like actually look at this piece because it was actually pretty big. So it's like very interesting to like see how Veseling like put it on a wall, and then the rest is kind of like so like the way he put it, it's like a scroll, and then he didn't like entirely like lay it out, but it was like very interesting to see how like a little bit creativity that was add into the display. Yeah. So this is the next one.
Actually, the piece that you guys just saw breaks these next two pieces. These two pieces are also from the so-called Triankia series. This one has a very personal meaning. This is a rather big canvas. This is probably the biggest work that I've done in the last couple of years. The interesting thing about this is that this is actually a painting that has two faces. It's a painting on both sides. The way it's created, it's the unprimed canvas was pretty much squished in a kind of a little vessel, and I poured like water from my brushes can and some paint, and so these shapes that you see, they came totally by chance and naturally of the water drying on the canvas for close to a month. Because when I was start preparing the canvas, there was also things happening in my life, and I had to leave. And I went back home when at the time my father was very ill and he eventually passed. So that when I came back and I opened the painting, when I saw the shapes, it was like already a painting of its own. And I was like, oh my God, something happened here. There was like almost like something was created by design when it's clearly by chance. So I wanted to preserve as much as possible this initial chaotic structure, if you will, and just to kind of augment and put the color accents where I felt they're needed. So the painting is called The Departures for the Triangia, and kind of symbolizes it's for all those who left, in terms of people who left the city. Many friends relocated. Certainly people that I know got sick, some people passed, and then the personal loss. So it was really created at kind of more towards the tail of the pandemic, when we started becoming aware of the toll that this year and a half has taken on all of us. And the painting which is next to it is a little bit of a continuation. Yeah, this one. Well, this is the one that we just saw. Yes, this one. I'm sure you can see the similarities. It's very similar way of preparing the canvas. The difference is in time. This painting was created more like towards the end of 2021, January of 2022, and it's called the Triangia No Shortcuts. What it refers to is, I thought in the fall of 21, we're kind of really getting out of it. And I'm sure you'll remember then Omicron came, and like by December, things took a very dark U-turn, but I think it was really bad. Like, shows were canceled, things were closed, the school was going back, whatever. I think for a month it was like really heavy. So that was the time when this painting was created. Similar to the other one, it has two faces. So This is just because the sediments and the paint kind of permeates through the canvas and creates like a mirror images on both ends. So I work with both sides because it was very hard to give on this very natural ways of how these things came about. I need to take you all heard I have also a daytime job and I'm receiving a phone call right now, but I'll be back with you like in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, of course. Hi, so do everyone? Meanwhile, Ilian's taking the phone call. Let's move on to the next one. So does anyone have like just like a quick comment or anything that you're generally like curious or like been driven about this piece of art? So if not, maybe we'll just move to the next one. This one's is actually pretty interesting because I think this is maybe one of the most colorful artwork from Julian in this collection. I don't know, I'm not sure about the other collections, but this one's definitely more colorful. So hopefully Julian can like say more about this piece of artwork afterwards. And then we have next few easy pieces. And one of the collection of few easy pieces. The Rainbow Hunt. Oh, The Way Things Come About versus I don't know how much is this? 6 maybe? Yeah. Lost Pets. The Trying Year, City Flats. Windy Days. Mortality 3. Yeah, so this is basically the end of the ODR steps works, but feel free if you guys have a particular one that you're more interested in and want to like take a few more looks of it. And maybe when Iliyan returns, he can speak more about that particular piece of art. Okay, so meanwhile we're waiting for Iliyan, I just have a few words that I want to say. So we want to.
I'm back just for you.
Oh, you're back. Yeah, so we were just like going over the rest of your artwork, and we were like hoping you can give like a few more words about each pieces. So I think we're here.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I'll try to be more succinct. I don't want to kind of keep going. So this is a series. This is probably the latest. Not probably. This is one of the latest series on canvas. It's called The Hunt. This is the Orchid Hunt. And kind of in a nutshell, the idea is that when we go passionately after things that we really want, we like, we inevitably, in the process of obtaining them, we destroy them. Possessing a thing certainly changes it, and destroy might be a strong word, but so there's 4 canvases. It's called the one, which is actually not here, it's back home in Bulgaria. It's called the Butterfly Hunt, Orchid Hunt, and there's also the Rainbow Hunt, and the latest is the Meteor Hunt. So all referring to this kind of ephemeral things that are not easy to touch even, but it's more kind of the idea. And more you're in the possession of something, more and more you're changing it to the point of changing it kind of in some irreversible way. So these are smaller canvases. This one and the one next to it to the right, they're series that's called Few Easy Pieces. Maybe some of you would kind of guess the analogy with, there's a movie that's called 5 Easy Pieces, which is, I think, in the late 70s or 80s, a Jack Nicholson movie. There's a piece in the movie when there's this very interesting interaction between the performer, he's a pianist, an audience, somebody who admired his performance, and of course the original composition, which is a short, easy kind of Chopin piece. So the reference to that is like this interaction between the idea of the artist, the creator, and then the interpretation by the audience. And when in music you have this relationship between a composer, performer, and the audience, I think in the visual arts, it's more between the painter and the audience. And I'm kind of trying to move the audience in this position of being the interpreter of the piece, similar to what the performers in the music world do with the original score. So I think abstract, as I mentioned, gives you tools. I always enjoy kind of listening to people telling me what they see in a painting. And I hear stories. I never thought of things that other people may say, like, I see a choral riff, like never thought of a choral riff about this particular painting, but people see their own interpretation of it, which I think
True.
is a great asset of this type of art that I'm interested in.
True. How about this one? I feel these are like in the same collection, right? So is this like something related to the movie that we were talking about?
Yeah, this is the same series. It's called Few Easy Pieces, referring to the film.
Why is it like how is it like so different from the usage of the colors, like so different? Is there like a different kind of, is this like maybe you watch a movie twice and then you make like a second interpretation when you're like creating this collection?
Well, they're more than just a few pieces. I think the whole series is 7 or 8. They're musically inspired, but like anything, so one way to think about it is you can listen to a piece of music many times and would have many different interpretations of it.
Exactly.
It can move you in many different ways. And if you perform music, you can play the same piece and you can play it endless different ways. So I think the theme remains the same, but I think it's more of a catch, or like, it's a little bit of a
yeah, when every time you like look at it or like listen to it, you have a different feeling.
Right.
Right. Okay, how about this one? This one is the Rainbow Hunt, right?
That is the Rainbow Hunt. I already mentioned about that particular series. These are medium-sized canvases, which something that I was referring to in the interview, but these are the ones that probably have most texture than compared to the rest of the canvases I present. They're really meant to be like rather raw and kind of as expressive as it comes, but not just the color, but also the texture. And the texture comes from the canvas, by the way. That's one thing that I consider my own discovery of this particular technique, but the texture comes from the way you pre-treat the canvas and then the way you treat the canvas with the paint. creates this ridges and shapes, and also in addition, depending how you put the light, you can see different things on the canvas as well.
I see.
Okay, so this is the title piece. This is the largest, well, one of the largest pieces in the show.
Mhm.
It's called The Way Things Came About, verse 13. Why verse 13? It's anybody's guess. However, it references another painting that is not in the show, but it's on Artsy, represented by a different gallery, which was the original painting that was called The Way Things Came About. And in the other painting, I think it's a more clearer juxtaposition from a lighter side of the canvas to a darker side of the canvas, kind of in this circular motion, suggesting that things change, like from day to night, or from more optimistic periods to more kind of a difficult periods, but in a kind of a clearer fashion. And I think in the second version of it, I think the idea is that actually it's not as simple as like going from light to dark, or bright colors to dark colors. This is more like of a distorted pie chart, when things may go okay for a while and they can take a turn very quickly, and which I think is closer to how things in life are. Even in your day, I mean, you may start very gloomy, and then sun is up, you have a good lunch, things are okay, and then something, like things tend to
Goes
change
in the circle, right?
rather unexpectedly, right? And it seems to be a cycle, because there is a repetition of certain things, right? But I think the repetition is not as predictable as we want to be. And I think the idea of this painting is how this perceived structure is being challenged on pretty much daily basis. I think we discovered that through the pandemic, of like, if you just think how things been up and down and left and right, and going different ways and going 5 different directions at the same time. That's my perception of how things been for the last couple of years. Rather chaotic on some level, and then of course you try to predict as much as you can.
Definitely.
So this painting was actually finished just probably a week before the show opened, so this is the freshest installment of this series.
Okay, then we have this one, Lost Pet.
So this is a series of works on paper. They're also created in the last 3-4 months. It's about 16 or 17 pieces. They're called Lost Pets. I'm not a pet lover. However, I kind of slowly start realizing what companionship through pets means to people. I think it's also one of the functions of the pandemic and the isolation. However, we had like a small bearded dragon that passed, and it was kind of phenomenal to me how how quickly life things create connection among themselves. You'd never think that you might feel some attachment to a lizard, but actually we tend to be kind of prone to creating this connection. So the whole series is about, again, dealing with the sense of loss, things that pass, things that are getting lost somehow, things that run their course and they never come back. And this is just one of the versions of it. It's I think you guys have almost the whole series in the gallery. I know that we spoke about them being put like in a folder somewhere so people can look at it. But this one is on the wall, and yeah. And so this is another trying year series. Through the pandemic period, this is called City Flats. The juxtaposition is another painting which is not here. Actually, it's back in my hometown city gallery. The painting that is back home is called Upstate Farms, and it's called City Flats. I guess the idea at the time was I did a lot of trips upstate, and it was rather interesting how different life was being upstate versus being in the city. I mean, the city at one point became very desolate and really depressing. And it seems like even the basic structures of the city life start crumbling. Whereas the other painting has more kind of animals in it, and it's at least reference to animals. So there's a pair of this series juxtaposing these experiences of, you know, life being one way in a different environment versus what we had here in the city. Oh, that was actually the painting that somebody referred to as like a coral reef. But when I was, this is very much influenced by Stefanelli's work and the way he approaches color with kind of very, very bright and very bold juxtapositions of colors that many times people think don't belong together. And the title of the painting is, the full title is Windy Days in Painter's Backyard. I was thinking of like how wind may just throw around buckets of paper and the paint splashes around and creates these free forms. But I think more or less it refers to this kind of a force of creativity or whatever it might be. This is before the pandemic. This is this transitional period when I was kind of really moving away from representational painting and more towards abstract. So that's this one.
Mortality.
And so this is the second piece. The Mortality series is about 7 pieces. 3 of them are like larger pieces of paper and another 4 like smaller. I already mentioned about the relationship with the book by Christopher Hutchins. If people don't know who he is, it's interesting to, there's YouTubes of his debates, famous debates with prominent political leaders and other people. And he also wrote for Vogue for many years. So he was a famous proponent of like, you know, free speech and free thinking and unconventional thinking and challenging the convention, you know, kind of establish ideas about religion, politics, and things like that.
Let's see. Okay. So this is the end of the art stuff. So does anyone have any questions or like comments that you wanted to give Iliyan? Feel free to speak. Just unmute yourself and go ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is Galina. I would like just to have a few comments for this amazing exhibition. First of all, I would like to thank Iliyan for coming back again to the gallery after almost 13 years, right?
Correct.
And
actually, the last show was called Healings.
Right.
If you remember.
And I would say that for us, Iliyan is one of those amazing artists that we have exhibited. We're proud to exhibit. And thank you so much, Julian, for taking my challenge, for following my challenge to present artworks from your different period, different interest, and even the fact that you're a scientist. I can't wait to hear these amazing notes that you have given to us, deep insights about all these different kinds of artworks. But I believe within this discussion, actually, it came away visual, proper understandings how these different artworks, they have accumulated your emotion, right? Your feelings. And right now, after speaking, after giving us these insights, we definitely can see it. And for me, the colors, the composition is amazing way to express emotion, to express feelings. So thank you so much for this amazing exhibition, and I am encouraging everyone definitely to come to see it in person, because it's a way different vision. Even though we see the visuals here, the personal feeling being at the gallery is a way different, and I would say gives you a way better understanding of every individual artwork. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well. I may just say, I think we're, in terms of, the art world, clearly in a transitional period. I mean, internet has taken over to a great extent, and the best way I can think of resolving this, it's not a conflict, but it's somewhat, just opposing parties. I hope that events like this would make people curious enough to, make the trip and see the actual work. As I mentioned previously in the interview, and I do collect artwork. Nothing against people who collect around the world using the internet. That's a great tool. It has democratized music and film and art, and these are art forms that I'm very passionate about. However, I still would go and hear live music. I still want to see, somebody's work in person. Yeah, this thing's kind of, I don't think these things would change in a way that we would kind of turn our backs on them. So, but that being said, thank you for everyone who joined and got a glimpse of that. And I hope, you enjoy it.
Of course, Iliyan. Thank you for putting this amazing collection together with us. I can definitely see how you cope with all the difference that have been changed during the pandemic, not post-pandemic. It's still going on, but it's just so amazing to see how you try to cope your career as an artist, as a past scientist, also a musician, to into your artwork. It was really a great experience to hear you share your stories when you're creating this artwork, and hopefully in the future we can continue to see how you make new creation when the pandemic pass by. Maybe hopefully we will see another new inspirational artwork of yours. So that being said, this is the end of our reception. We want to thank every one of you who have come to join us tonight. Thank you to our staff who have been working so hard to put up this exhibition, and also to our sponsor who have been constantly supporting us. Also definitely to Iliyan Ivanov for having his artwork exhibit with Alfa Art Gallery and share his art journey with us. We hope you have a wonderful night, and we hope you did enjoy this exhibition. Thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah, just wanna echo that, and please visit Alpha Gallery on their website. Also, you can check my website. Hopefully, in the near future, we can do maybe a studio visit to the gallery and kind of have another.
Yes.
Virtual.
Once again, the in-person reception is this Friday, September 16th from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Feel free to stop by if you guys have time. All right. We'll see you all. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.